Geek Out! In the town where I was born lived a man who sailed the seas, and he told us of his life in the land of submarines. This is another installment of Deconstructing the Beatles. I'm Sam.
I'm Jake.
And if you know that didn't give the game away, we're going to be talking about Yellow Submarine this time around, this is going to be probably the shortest episode of Deconstructing the Beatles because, including the title track, which was like, excluding the title track, there's only 4 original songs on the album Yellow Submarine because it was contractually mandated by the studio, United Artists, when they were coming up with the soundtrack for the animated film of the same name. So the Beatles were like, fuck it, fine. Here's 4, like, basically throwaway songs. In the case of, like, it's only a Northern song, a literal throwaway song. And, you know, it's going to be we've already talked about the songs that are on this that were from, like, Yellow Submarines on Revolver. We already have an episode about Revolver. You can listen to it. You know, we already talked about Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds. That's on Sgt. Pepper's. We already talked about All You Need Is Love. That's on Magical Mystery Tour. This time around, we're going to be talking about those 4 songs, maybe a little about the movie itself.
Yeah.
Why not? Yeah, we got the time. Also, some of you probably are like, "What? Why aren't they doing?" And first off, why are you? But you might be wondering why we're doing this instead of with the White Album, because the White Album is technically released several months before Yellow Submarine, the end of 1968, whereas the soundtrack album for Yellow Submarine, even though the movie comes out the summer of 68, the soundtrack doesn't come out until January of 69, while they're busy during the Get Back sessions. But they recorded all the songs for Yellow Submarine way before the White Album sessions. In some cases, like over a year before the White Album sessions even started. So just to kind of go more in chronological, not so much chronological order of release, but chronological order of conception and recording. Yeah, this definitely falls in between Magical Mystery Tour and the White Album. We'll get to the White Album next time, I swear. But do you have any thoughts of Yellow Submarine before we jump in?
I remember going to Fair Oaks Mall years and years ago when it was, it's the FYE now. It was a Sam Goody back then. And they released the Beatles action figures, coinciding, I guess, they had, the Yellow Submarine action figures. And, of course, I went at all of them. And, I convinced my mom because, lawnmower money and whatever, to scrap things together and, in advance on any lawnmower money, I guess. That's how I made, money back then. It was a simpler time. And I got all 4, and I still have all 4. And they come with, Jeremy and the glove, and like,
Blue
Meanie, and I can't remember what the other one was. But, they all come, all the Beatles show up, and it's awesome. And I have actually a lot, now that I think of it, I was just thinking back just right now, I have a lot of Yellow Submarine memorabilia. And I think it might have been because that's when I was like having spending money and I was able, it was a little easier to get, kind of reach out and buy things. Like I have a lot of Yellow Submarine figures, like some really great, like iron cast, like yellow painted submarines where like if you roll it, they pop up and the Beatles heads come out, and like just a lot of Yellow Submarine stuff. But I also remember I have the clamshell, like Yellow Submarine VHS. And I also have it on DVD. I don't think I have it on Blu-ray right now. But who knows, by the time this comes out, I might just buy it. But, I remember seeing the...
I think Chris has it on Laserdisc.
Oh, he probably does. Yeah. I'm thinking out loud. I mean, Chris, come enter my mind. Let me know if you own it on Laserdisc.
I do.
He does? Okay. It's. I remember seeing the movie, and in cartoon form, I didn't know in my young naive age that it wasn't the Beatles.
Yeah, it's one of my sister's
voicing it.
Yeah, it's one of my sister's favorite films of all time.
Yeah. We might as well just tell the story again.
Tell the story again,
because who knows who's listening to this, and it's apropos. I did it. I said it. I had like that moment with any big word I use where I'm like, I'm saying it. Yeah. It's left my mouth, and I kind of like look over at Sam. He's just like, yeah, it works. It works. I'm like, thank Christ. I could have just said it works, but I'm feeling positive today. I'm feeling good.
Did you stay at a Holiday Inn Express last night?
Yeah, I didn't. But imagine if I did. I wouldn't have had to glance for apropos. I would have been like, I fucking know this shit. Don't look at me. Anyway, so
I have to approve.
yeah, you look at me.
Like, did you say?
Did you say it? Oh, yeah, I did. Many moons ago now. How many years ago was this?
This would be 2012.
Oh shit. Okay. Oh shit. So 4 years ago. The anniversary was a little while ago because it's your sister's birthday. Young TJ, a buddy of ours we've talked about a couple times, who's a fellow Beatles fanatic as well. We actually talked about the Beatles with him a while ago on another podcast. And he was like, hey, Yellow Submarine's going to be in theaters. Let's go see it. And I hadn't seen it in years at this point. You know, last time it was probably on VHS. And so I was like, sure, let's go. And he's like, my buddy Sam's going to meet us. And I think you and him will really hit it off. He's a fellow big Beatles guy. He likes comic books. You know, he likes all the same things. And he kept kind of saying that he's the white you and you're the Asian him. And I was like, okay.
Wouldn't that work the other way around? I'm the Asian you and you're the white
me. It's, I mean, who knows? Anyone listening to this doesn't know. I could be Asian. They don't know. Apropos,
we're all Africans in the end.
Yeah.
That's the cradle of civilization.
That's right. Yes. This is true. And the funny thing is, I sat and thought before I said it, and I still got it wrong. So I'm taking back the apropos of nothing. And anyway, so I meet Sam, and I don't actually meet him really. I mean, we kind of sit down in the Fairfax corner, and Ann is there, Sam is there, TJ's there, I'm there. And I kind of go, hello. And I didn't know that Sam, as he said, it's Ann's favorite. It's just hitting me now that like I've known Ann the same exact time as I've known you, which is funny. But I didn't know that you were surprising your sister. You know, because the last thing she probably ever thought she was fucking seeing was Yellow Submarine.
Yeah, I always kind of surprise myself. Now that I'm thinking about it with like Beatles-related stuff.
And my thought, meeting Sam, being a fellow Beatles guy, for some reason, on any other day, I would have been like, how cool is it we're seeing Yellow Submarine? And for some reason, I didn't say it. And luckily, I didn't because it would have ruined the surprise. And Sam would have been like, this fucking idiot. And we wouldn't be doing this podcast right now because you're probably like, I don't want to talk to that fucker. And so, anyway, we watched the movie. The title screen comes up, you know. Was it Once Upon a Time or maybe twice?
In Pepperland.
And she was like, holy fuck, you know.
As my sisters want to do.
Yeah. And so I was like, well, thank Christ. I remember like I didn't look at Khadijah. I was like, oh shit, that would have been embarrassing. And anyway, so then we watched it and it was fun. We all kind of sang along, tapped our feet and whatever, and talked about the Beatles afterwards. And then, you know, weeks down the line, Sam and I met up at was it Chipotle?
No, it was it was that thing.
Oh, it used to be
Caribou Coffee.
Caribou Coffee. And we closed that shit down because we were there for like 4 or 5 hours.
We were originally going to meet for like 45 minutes to an hour over coffee and basically flesh out what would become the podcast.
Yeah.
And we were there basically for the rest of the day.
4 or 5 hours because I had been out of comic books for a while at that point. Like I was just reading kind of graphic novels, the occasional graphic novel, and I had this wealth of information in Samuel Warren Stone, and I was just kind of picking his brain, like, where's this character at? What's this character doing? And this was at the start of the New 52, kind of. Like, it was well, I mean, it was around issue like 12.
It had been in for a year.
Because I remember then I started going to the shop, and I started opening my own box, and started Death of the Families, and I was really picking up single issue Batman stuff and Superman stuff again, and really getting back into that. Anyway, long story short, that's where Yellow Submarine is, I guess, a important part in the podcast and our friendship and lives here, because otherwise we probably wouldn't be doing this if it wasn't for Yellow Submarine.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's a foundation for sure. You know, it's not my favorite Beatles film, but it is a lot of fun.
Sure.
I think the big conceit is the Beatles don't actually voice themselves.
Yeah, I remember finding that out and was kind of bummed.
And United Artists felt the same way, because they didn't consider the contract, even though they came up with the 4 original songs. They were like, well, you didn't actually voice your own characters, and you only show up for like a maybe 20-second cameo at the very end.
And that was exciting even as a kid, like seeing the Beatles, like, oh shit, you know, we get this snapshot of the Beatles here, and you know, it's funny with like Lennon being the hole in my pocket or whatever. But I mean, the thing that as I've watched it and really and I really need to watch it again because I don't think I've really sat and watched it since we saw it in theaters, to be honest with you. I don't think I've watched it again since then.
I have it on Blu-ray.
That's right. And if I want to, like, you know, work for it, I can watch it on Laserdisc. Although, don't you have, Chris, enter my mind, don't you have that one that can, like, play both sides without flipping it?
Yes.
Okay, he does. But it's almost like he's in the room.
Yeah, it's almost like he's always in the room because, you know, we're using his studio.
That's right. Yeah, well, I remember one time he just joined in on the Kiss podcast. I'm like, fuck it, let's talk about it, which was great. Anyway, the voice actor who plays the Chief Blue Meanie is like maybe my favorite voice acting of all time because it's just this batshit insane.
Well, he's like very soft and gentle, and then he
just
can go crazy on a dime.
And I think the same guy came in to voice. Oh boy, I could be getting this wrong. George or Ringo, because
the guy that voices George also voices Ringo by the end of it, because the guy that voices George was arrested mid-production for like deserting.
Yeah, that's right.
Deserting the British Army.
That's what it was. Yeah, so he comes in and finishes the day. But I think the guy who played Ringo also did the Chief Blue Meanie. And if you listen to that, you're like, how the fuck? Because you got Ringo's like, oh, I'm Ringo, and then you got the
woe is me.
Yeah, well, and then you got the Chief Blue Meanie being like basically one of the ingredients that made Mark Hamill's Joker. You know, when you listen to or just watch the Chief Blue Meanie speak, it's basically a proto Joker, Mark Hamill Joker, you know, and it's a really great voice work. It's one of my favorite parts of the movie, along with the animation and Jeremy doing a little dance before it's all too much. But anyway, that's kind of my long-winded explanation of kind of the movie and where it fits in my life and our life, I guess.
Yeah, no, it's. Yeah, it's still a good time. There's a lot of cool stuff that it does that a lot of animated films weren't doing. Like it does a lot of rotoscoping, which wasn't really prevalent in mainstream animated film. So you get a lot of that, and it's just a really cool fucking movie. But yeah, let's get into the music. Again, there's only four new songs.
That's why I could tell that story for probably the 7th time on this podcast. Because we could fill some space with that.
You want me to? Let me tell my own story
real
quick. It's not as long as the foundation of all podcasting
on fucking the Beatles, Yellow Submarine animated film.
But I told this story on the main show, and I haven't said it on the Beatles show, and I feel like it's apropos. You would put it.
It's right. It's correct.
To put it, thank you, on the Beatles show.
Apropos of nothing. That's like the best podcast name now.
Yeah. If only this didn't already have a title. But I saw Ringo Starr.
That's right. Yeah,
I saw Ringo Starr like 3. I guess at the time this thing posted, it'll be 3 weeks ago.
Shit.
And time flies. And he was over at the Warner Theater with the All-Star Band. Half the All-Star Band's Toto, so I kind of got like a Toto concert.
How recent is that? Is that like this tour, or has that been the case for a while? Do you know?
I really haven't kept up with the All-Star Band. I know that the bassist for the All-Star Band's the bassist for Mr. Mister, and he's been part of the All-Star Band for a while. Mm. The drummer that when it isn't Ringo behind the drums, Greg Bisonet, who was the drummer for David Lee Roth during his solo career, has been the drummer for the All-Star Band for a while. Todd Rundgren from...
Oh, he's great. I love Todd Rundgren.
Yeah, he's been the guitarist for a while.
Yeah, as much as... I mean, I obviously Ringo all the way, but like, it'd almost be worth it to see Todd Rundgren, because like, that dude played fucking all the guitar parts and produced Bat Out of Hell, and that guy's a genius. Anyway.
He is. So I got orchestra seats. I'm feeling pretty good. I'm sitting there like 7 rows back.
Well, yeah, I remember you posted something. You're like 7th fucking row,
because it was kind of on a lark. Full disclosure, I wasn't really necessarily like going like I'm gonna see fucking Ringo Starr. It almost was like an obligation at first. Like I need to see Ringo Starr. Yeah, because like if we've
I've never seen him. So
yeah, we've lost Prince, we've lost Bowie. Yeah. I want to see Ringo Starr before it's too late. And it turned out to be really fucking awesome. But so I'm 7 rows back. After the 3rd song, which is What Goes On off of Rubber Soul, also available. I guess that's a lot of episodes back now. But I'm in the orchestra section, like fist pumping, like yeah. And Ringo sees it, and he's just like, what? None of that. This instead, and flashes the peace sign, which is kind of his like standard now.
Yeah. Peace and love.
Peace love. And I was just like, God, I kind of like shocked, and I flash my own peace sign back. He's like, there, that's better. And like they go into the 4th song, which is I Saw the Light by Todd Rundgren. Mm-hmm. And everyone, like if you had a camera and were panning across the audience for that 4th song, everybody would be singing and having a good time and dancing along. And
this fucking kid, not kid, but man, just frozen.
Yeah, still like flabbergasted with a peace sign. There I am, just like, oh,
your
God.
eyes going back and forth because you're trying to like remember things.
Yeah, this is the 9th episode of this Beatles podcast that we're doing, and we've been talking about the Beatles for a long time. And I never thought that I would actually I don't necessarily know if being given the time of day is the right phrase.
Well, I mean, enough for him to be like, oh,
to be called out.
Like, there's two ways to look at this, Sam. There's one way to be like Ringo Starr, Richard Starkey was put on this earth to be the drummer of the Beatles.
Yeah.
The second way to look at it, the glass half full, is to say he was put on this earth to correct you at a show to do the peace sign.
Yeah.
Because that would have never happened without either of you two. Like, that would have never happened if it wasn't for you and if it wasn't for him.
Ships that pass in the night.
Yeah. Because he gets like backstage, he's like, remember that fucking kid?
Yeah. What was that all about?
It was the fucking Iron Maiden show.
Shaking his fist, you know.
Yeah. He just goes into the Trooper, but like sung like Ringo.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
Yeah, man. No, so yeah, that's my one interaction with a Beatle to date.
That's pretty sweet.
It's pretty wild, but let's get into it.
Let's do it.
So the first new song on Yellow Submarine is the oldest song written and recorded that originally that shows up on it. It's Only a Northern Song by George Harrison.
Love it.
That was written and recorded during the Sgt. Pepper sessions in like '66.
Yeah. I would, like I said on that episode, I'm sure I would have taken that over the Harrison track we got. And I don't think the Harrison track we got is bad. I'm not a huge fan of that.
Of Within You Without You.
Yeah, I would have taken Only a Northern Song. I think it's it's clever in almost how lazy it is,
Well, it's the Beatles publishing company is Northern Songs.
Mm-hmm.
And that was their first way to come up with like a tax shield, a tax shelter, because if you have your own publishing company, that way you're basically funneling the royalties in through through your own fucking establishment rather than through the record labels.
Yeah.
And Harrison was finding out, since McCartney and Lennon were the majority stakeholders in Northern Songs, he's like, they're making more money from royalties from my songs. Yeah. And so he's like, when you look at the lyrics, he's like, it doesn't matter what songs I play, what words I say. He's just like, it doesn't matter. Whatever I do, they're making more money than I am off my own songs. Yeah. It's a protest song, but it's Harrison, so he's very subtle about it.
Yeah. I don't know. I think the lyrics are clever. I think it's got this cool, like, it just drones on, kind of cool. I feel like they return to kind of the backmasking kind of like stuff on Revolver with some of the noises, sure. Like whether it's the laugh played backwards, whatever, like the crow sounding thing. But it's just a really cool atmospheric track that I really enjoy. I dare I say one of my favorite Harrison tracks.
Really?
Yeah, I think this song is so cool. I really like this song a lot.
It's not even my favorite Harrison song on this album.
That's fair. Well, I mean, that song is like the fucking bee's knees.
Yeah.
That song is amazing. This song I like a lot, but no, the other Harrison track, boy.
The big reason that Only a Northern Song wasn't included on Sgt. Pepper's is because George Martin fucking hated it. The producer of Sgt. Pepper's was just like, I
think Ringo's drumming's pretty solid on that track too.
It is.
It's pretty solid drumming. Like it's a little more out of the box, a little more going on too.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, and it's just like a cacophony of noise too.
Yeah. It almost would have worked better on Magical Mystery Tour. Like, remember how we were talking like the prodding on? Like, you could have put that in with like Blue Jay Way and Flying. It would have fit that trilogy of weird. Yeah. But it would have been like good. Like those other songs are just okay.
Yeah. I mean, if you're talking droning, Blue Jay Way is just like drone.
Please don't be.
We're just gonna stay on that like C sharp or C add 7 or whatever. But no, I mean it's okay. It's got every song in the film has their own, including these original songs, have their own animated sequence that goes with it. Mm-hmm. If I remember correctly, that's where you see like the 4 colored like Beatle collage show up and stuff, and the weird sound wave. But the next song is the McCartney track, which actually closes out the film. They play it over the end credits. It's very much kind of in McCartney's wheelhouse, but he kind of dismissed it as like filler. But yeah, it's All Together Now.
Oh, so good.
Just
dun, 1, 2, 3, 4. Can I have a little more? 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I love you. Boom, boom, boom. Whatever. But
sail the ship.
Cross the sea. Skip the rope. Look at me, all together now. But yeah, it's
is this the most recognizable original song on the album?
All Together Now?
Yes.
Maybe not nowadays because
it's not. It's Only a Northern Song. It's not Hey Bulldog.
I would say Hey Bulldog is a little bit more well known. I don't think it totally crosses it because of stuff like, I feel like Guitar Hero or something. But like Yeah, I mean, you're probably right. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, it like shows up in like commercials and stuff.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Altogether now is like universal. You know what I mean? Like I think they even have like foreign languages at the end, like when they're just like saying how, whatever. It's a fun song. I feel like you're anywhere in the world, you could start singing it, and some poor bastard will know it in the room. You know what I mean?
It's like it's typical McCartney, just really like melodic and catchy.
It is, but here's the great thing about McCartney: nobody else could probably write that song. You know what I mean? And it's like, oh, it's so fucking simple. Like with Hello Goodbye, like it's just yin and yang, but then only he could do it, and he makes just a little fun too. It's just a great little jam. Like the story I always love about McCartney that kind of reminds me of this, but has nothing to do with the song, is that he always carries a little harmonica with him, like a mini harmonica, and a baby was crying in an airport, just fucking wailing. And McCartney walked by and pulled out his harmonica and was like to the baby, and the baby stopped crying and looked at him with his eyes wide, like and he put the harmonica away, and the baby just stopped crying and just walked away. Like fucking McCartney just slides in and like stops his kid from crying by playing music with a little harmonica and just goes on his way.
The trick, what you're telling me is the trick is to cry around Paul McCartney.
Oh, if I see Paul McCartney, I will start crying like a child, like a newborn infant.
And hopefully he'll know.
Hopefully he just won't turn and be like, sad bastard, and just keeps walking. You know what I mean?
And
I'll be like, it still counts. It's still real to me, damn it.
Yeah, if Sam's Ringo story counts, and this one totally counts.
Yeah, that's right. Oh, man. Then he writes a song about it.
Yeah.
Poor pitiful bastard.
Yeah.
He finds my name and name checks me in the song.
Yeah. Has a picture of you in the liner notes.
Yeah, calls me Jack instead, though.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, Charles. But no, I mean, yeah, this it's a fun toe tapper, and it's kind of a great track to follow. It's Only a Northern Song, because It's Only a Northern Song is not a sing along. You know what I mean?
Not, yeah. The next one is probably my favorite on the album. Actually, it's Hey Bulldog.
Okay.
Which for the longest time wasn't included with the North American release of the film.
Yeah.
I think for pacing reasons they had cut it out. There's this whole sequence in the restored version, and I guess in the international version, where the Beatles are being chased around by the blue meanie dogs, which are also blue and basically look like blue meanies, but they're dogs.
Yeah.
And they hide in the player piano, and the song that plays in the player piano is Hey Bulldog.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, it's just a really fun, like it's a Lennon number. Jeff Emmerich said this was one of the last songs, like this was the last song the band recorded before they left for India in early '68. So it's like the last song where they have like that classic Beatles camaraderie, because when they get back from India and start the White Album sessions, shit's tense.
Yeah, I mean that's a good way. That's a good point. I mean, they're joking around on it. Lennon has that amazing laugh where he like laughs down a scale. Great riff. I would say probably my second favorite track on the album.
Mm-hmm.
The next song I think we're talking about was my favorite, but it's a great jamming song, and it's kind of funny if you think about it.
Overloaded guitar, like a big
I mean,
guitar.
If you think about it though, like these 4 tracks, it starts off like kind of like slow prodding, and it builds to something huge. You know what I mean? Like if you think about it now, I'm just talking about it. But this song is just great. It's fun, great riff. Lennon and McCartney are barking and having a good time,
which was completely improvised.
Yeah.
So like suddenly McCartney starts barking while they're recording vocal tracks, and Lennon just kind of joins in.
Yeah, and like you said, it's kind of the camaraderie, which you don't see, which is something that we're very rarely going to see talking about the Beatles the rest of this time, unfortunately.
Yeah, and speaking like rare things,
speaking of rare things,
I have a Charizard holographic card. That's rare, right?
I wish I could think of something
I have a Charizard
off the top of my head that's just super rare and random, but I can't think of it.
I have a Tom DeLonge Signature Series Fender Stratocaster, but it doesn't matter because it's just Tom DeLonge.
Christ.
Christ,
I met him.
It's one of the few times where the Beatles allowed video cameras in the recording studio, because they had to record a promotional video for Lady Madonna. And so rather than record them performing or lip syncing to Lady Madonna, they filmed them recording Hey Bulldog and edited it like it looked like they were playing Lady Madonna.
Yeah.
Which doesn't make sense because it's McCartney playing the piano on that, not Lennon.
Yeah.
Not that I guess people.
I guess they both got a big piano riff or whatever. But like, there's a moment in Wings Over America, which is I guess it's released on DVD now or Blu-ray, which I definitely suggest picking up. For the longest time, it wasn't available. You only had like chunks of the DVD or concert film on like compilations. But there, one of the 5 songs that McCartney played that was a Beatles song. He'd only play 5 Beatles songs when he was with Wings early on. Was Lady Madonna. Just real quick, and the look on his face when he's playing the riff on the piano is like the most fun I've ever seen McCartney look. He's just almost like shocked, like this fucking rules.
No, he hasn't played it in like 10 years.
Yeah. So it's a great song. I was gonna say Lennon has like the best mutton chops in the video.
Oh yeah.
Which I'm sad that like that wasn't like longer. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
It's kind of like when I think of the Lennon mutton chop eras, I just think of the Hey Bulldog video. Like
That's really
you don't see much more. There's probably like pictures here and there.
The cameo at the end of Yellow Submarine, he's still got the mutton chops.
Does he? Okay.
Yeah.
And they're all clean shaven still except Ringo, right? I think Ringo, once he grows a facial hair, he pretty much has it the rest of the Beatles.
Though in the Hey Bulldog video,
is it shaved?
He's shaved.
Okay,
it's been the last time you see clean shaven Ringo.
Yeah, because you saw it recently for proof. I mean, that dude's still rocking facial hair.
He is, yeah. But I think my first time I ever the first time I was ever aware of Ringo Starr wasn't as a Beatle. It was as the conductor from.
Oh sure, yeah.
I mean Thomas the Tank Engine.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, I remember that.
But if you look on YouTube or whatever, they re-edited the video after they restored the Hey Bulldog sequence in the North American release of Yellow Submarine. They re-edited the recording or the filming of the whatever the Lady Madonna video, and they set it to Hey Bulldog, which wasn't particularly hard because that's what they're playing anyway. So it's a fun video. It's one of the they're just having a ball in Abbey Road Studios.
Yeah. Just real quick in terms of, because we'll talk about Lady Madonna later, on another episode, but just for fun, in terms of like piano driven, and because they have kind of a history together, which song do you like more?
Hey Bulldog.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm more of a Lady Madonna man. But I mean, Hey Bulldog's fucking fantastic.
Yeah.
So
I will say the outro maybe goes on a little too long.
It does, but again, it like you were saying, it's kind of fun to have that moment caught on tape. You know what I mean? Because again,
it's them having fun.
It's few and far between here on out. Because it's funny because I'm at the same point with like Kiss on the Kiss podcast, and it's like
the long breakup.
Yeah, so it's always a bummer when we get to that stuff, but it's gotta it's part of the history, part of the history.
More to that. More of that to come this month
for sure.
Yeah. So the last original song on the on Yellow Submarine is "It's All Too Much," also by George Harrison. Which
what do they say in the beginning? I've never been able to
your muff.
Is it muff?
Yeah.
Isn't that like a term for vagina?
It is also a term
to your muff. Okay.
Yeah.
I thought it said something too like all too much or something along those lines, but it doesn't quite work. To your muff. That's even funnier because there's that great shot of Jeremy like going like yo, like spinning,
just pointing. Yeah, because "It's All Too Much" is the song that closes out the animated portion, so the main portion of Yellow Submarine, because they're all partying in Pepperland with the Blue Meanies and Jeremy and everything to "It's All Too Much."
It's like
this for me is the best middle period. It's the best post Revolver Harrison track.
There are better Harrison tracks out there. Like much better Harrison tracks, but I mean this might take the cake because it's so psychedelically awesome.
It's just
is this the last psychedelic Beatles song?
Yeah, because after that they go to
I mean they might have like moments and elements in the White Album, but like for real, like
within this period certainly,
because the feedback, like there's just this hum throughout the entire track. This song is very kind of proto punk rock, and it's just great guitar work and the hand claps. If anytime you have hand claps, a secret weapon for making a great rock and roll song or any song in general. And it's just a great, fun track. Perfect way to end the movie. The animated, like you said, animated section of the movie. Jeremy doing the ballerina tiptoe dance. That is just, that'll forever be
Jeremy.
He is.
He looks like
he looks like animated deformed Dustin Hoffman. His face is like little Dustin Hoffman face, and then he has like the body of a Furby.
What? How do you see Dustin Hoffman movies? Like just
this little mystery of a man.
Okay,
and that's Jeremy.
Okay, I always thought he was just like an animated like dust bunny.
That's true.
He's just basically a fluff thing.
Fluff with Dustin Hoffman's face. to your muff. When I said that, I knew there was going to go two ways. You're going to go, fuck yes, or what the fuck's the matter with you? It's 50-50.
Yeah. Just like that Seth Rogen film.
Oh, yeah, I own that.
Oh, yeah. What is there any animated thing from or any sequence from the film that we didn't go over that you?
Well, I mean, I like all the Beatles introductions.
All very kind of personable.
Yeah.
Lennon being Frankenstein's monster.
Harrison has the coolest one.
Oh, he has the fucking coolest.
Yeah. Where's that GIF?
It exists.
I'm sure it does. I'm sure it does. Yeah.
Just Harrison standing basically on a mountaintop.
Yeah. What's Ringo's again?
Well, Ringo is the first person we see.
Okay, so he doesn't really...
Yeah, he's walking through the streets of Liverpool, presumably.
That's
He's just
right.
well, he's me.
And yeah. And Paul's is...
he's the man of the people.
Paul's is pretty... he walks out, fixes his tie, and someone throws him a bouquet. Or
you hear applause as he... Yeah.
I mean, it's all perfect, wonderful nonsense.
Yeah, it's a psychedelic joyride. It was a very... fun film growing up. I didn't watch it a whole hell of a lot compared to again, even as a kid, I preferred the live action films.
Oh yeah, sure. I mean, that's especially when I found out heartbreakingly, although if you just listen, you'll figure it out that it's not the Beatles' voices, But remember there was that plan for a while they were going to do it, remake it.
Dropped it because of how poorly motion capture films had done.
Yeah.
After the Polar Express tanked and after Beowulf tanked, they're like, why would we? It's well, it's the Beatles.
Yeah, I mean, come on, dude. It's built in, bro. Yeah. Man, they could have cast Dustin Hoffman to play the voice of Jeremy. It was perfect, but they fucked that up, so I'm just going to fucking hang on to that forever. But I never actually thought that until
man.
Yeah, I never actually thought that at all until 10 minutes ago. But yeah. But I don't know. I mean, the movie's fun. Like I said, I don't remember it as well as I remember Help or Hard Day's Night.
Yeah.
But it's definitely a huge part of my Beatles childhood history. That was huge.
Yeah.
All the figures I have, and the two different versions of the movie I own, and and the album too. And even the stuff. Obviously, we didn't talk about the other tracks on it because we already talked about them, like Sam said. But even naming those off, I mean, it's a great kind of weird compilation.
Of
album.
Middle period,
yeah.
Beatles, they don't go any older than Rubber Soul.
They're all good stuff. All good tracks, solid tracks. Some of the even greatest tracks you might ever hear. But
I mean, it's got my favorite.
I remember the Eleanor Rigby isn't it? Don't they have an
Eleanor
Eleanor
Rigby
section?
Is the first thing you hear when they get to Liverpool.
I really like that scene.
Yeah, because you see all the lonely people.
That's a really kind of like almost like Pink Floyd-esque scene.
Yeah.
Before Pink Floyd really became, I mean, they were already a band, but
At
before they were
point,
really a big thing. Yeah, I remember that particularly as well as being one of my favorite moments.
Yeah, that's a good one. It's a winner.
Mm.
No, I mean, like I said, definitely check it out. At this point, you can get it on virtually every format.
Yeah.
Those 4 new songs, even though they were kind of dialed in, are still pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, I usually a lot of times when we're talking about Magical Mystery Tour, for example, we're kind of talking it over actually it's not as good as I remember, but I feel like all 4 of these tracks, we all have positive things.
It's a prime slice of middle,
and you get 2 Harrison tracks, two great. I would say 2 really good Harrison tracks.
Proportionally, it's if you're just counting the original tracks, it's the most Harrison you'll get on a Beatles album.
Yeah.
So next week we'll be back with the first part of the double.
Oh boy,
which is to say, I guess it's a self-titled album, but everybody just calls it the fucking White Album.
Not the Weezer one, unfortunately.
Yeah, but or the Black Album by Jay-Z, or Metallica. So this has been another installment of Deconstructing the Beatles. I'm Sam.
I'm Jake.
See you next time. This has been another Geek Out production. If you enjoyed what you heard, hey, we've got a new commentary every Monday. We've got a special episode every Friday. Of course, there's the usual catching up show every Wednesday, and you get book club episodes just about every Tuesday these days. Thanks for listening. Meatloaf song.
Took the words right out of my mouth.
Took the words right out of my mouth.
It must have been while you were kissing me. You took the words right out of my mouth. Oh, and I swear it's true. I was just about to say I love you. Love you. And my body was shaking like a wave on the water.